Yo, what's good? Big Z here, and today I'm going to show you guys how to make this. So for those of you that aren't from America, you probably have no idea what this sample is, but it's the Monday Night Football theme song for the NFL. So in honor of the NFL playoffs starting this weekend, I wanted to see if I could flip that Monday night theme song sample into a house track, and this is what I came up with. So I'm going to dive into how I made this and all the sounds I used and how you can make your own tech house tracks. I'll start with the bass. That's always one of the most important parts of a house track. The main bass layer is just two saw waves, one with one voice of unison right in the middle of the mix, and the second one has two voices of unison and a little bit of detune here. Then over in the effects section, I've got some multi-band compression, some tube distortion cranked up pretty high, this low pass filter, which I'm modulating with envelope 1 over here. Then to add a little effect here with this EQ, I'm modulating it with macro 1. So you can see with macro 1, it'll turn up the gain of this one frequency. And when that frequency turns up, it's being modulated by envelope 1 as well. I'm also using macro 1 to open up the envelope, the sustain, and the release to make it sound longer. So I'm automating both of those macros just to give the bass some movement throughout the drop. So you can see the automation right here. Then I pretty much copied that synth down to make a sub bass. For the sub bass, it's just a saw wave and it has all the same effects minus that EQ thing I showed you, and it's just one voice right in the middle of the mix, and everything above like 120 hertz is cut off. So it's only the sub frequencies coming through for this one. Then I'm sending both those to a bass bus and just using some simple kickstart for sidechain. And to make the top bass stand out a little more, in the main oscillator tab here, I added this Formant 1 filter, and you'll hear what it does when I turn the mix up and down. Just makes it sound a little bit more unique. Another cool sound is this laser. So how I made that, I used this one laser sample, and then what I did was just put that into Logic Sampler, so you can see it in the sampler right here. Then I made the pitch bend range 12 semitones, and what that allowed me to do is when I wrote in these MIDI eighth notes here, I went into the pitch bend section, and I just made it pitch down an octave. And in the next section, I just pitch it up an octave, so I do the exact opposite. Then to add a nice layer on top of the basses and make the second section of the drop a little bit different, I'm adding in this tech house pluck sound. And I'm adding some automation to that sound just like I'm doing with the bass. So this sound in Serum is also just a saw wave, and it also has this dirty saw oscillator in oscillator B. And then in the effects section, I just have some multi-band compression, tube distortion. The envelope is super short because it's a super short plucky sound. That's modulating the cutoff of the filter, and I'm doing the same type of EQ effect that I was doing in the bass sound with this one. I'll go ahead and play all of the drums in the drop for you. So what I think is really important with house tracks is all the percussion you use to create the groove. So in this track, I have a bunch of percussion going on. I have this loop, then I have this layered with that. Then I've got some bongos in there to make it sound a little more tribal. Some rim shots to keep the groove. So when I'm making house tracks, I definitely spend a lot of time testing out different samples and percussion loops and things like that, just to make sure I have the right groove and the right feel and everything sounds nice and professional. And for the actual sample that I flipped, I just chopped it up pretty simply. So I kind of kept the main melody, but I just chopped it up to fit this BPM a little bit better. And to give me a lot more control over that delay on the sample that you hear, I just copied down that same sample, then I added a delay to it and put it at 100% wet, and then that allowed me to add some other effects like some tremolo after the delay, and also some more reverb on that track. Obviously I could do that in a bus, but it's just easier sometimes if you just duplicate the track, put the delay at 100%, and work with it that way. Now to make the build-up effective, I'm doing a bunch of automation. So first of all, you'll hear I'm filtering out the drums. Then I'm adding reverb to the drums throughout the build and also decreasing the gain of it throughout the build. And that's to make more room for the snare build to come through. I'm also adding some automation to the sample, like this filter. And to add more tension, I added a transient designer to this snare build, and I'm starting the sustain all the way down and then picking it up throughout the build up. So it'll make it really short in the beginning, and I'll add sustain to the snare throughout. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. I'm excited to start 2021 off with a bunch of new videos and music, so stay tuned. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.